It's weird because I only have a small area in front of me that can it's my screen.
That's like alarm clock music. It's like time to wake up and go to work.
I wouldn't say it's that bad. I've got a smile on my face.
I want to point out something here really funny. In the last podcast, we played music and Aaron's over there head drumming and beating and going bop, 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 bop. And then I use the audio that don't have the music, but he's still head banging to the music that don't exist. It made me chuckle while I was editing. So,
well, is it because of the polls?
Yes, the polls.
The polls are shifting. Yes.
Oh, good God! Let's do not go back down this route again.
Yeah.
Can we? We're gonna. Okay. We got a guest here. He wants to.
Yes.
He wants to, and he even drinks a red can, but we're gonna let him stay.
Ooh. Oh boy.
So everybody that sees the red cans in all my videos, this is the guy to blame right here.
I'm the one who smuggled those in. I waited for the perfect moment where there was a Pepsi shortage, and I brought in a whole stack of the red cans.
So anyways, we are back. Rainier?
Yes.
Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Last name? I'm not even going to try.
Van Ruin, if you want to.
I will ruin that name. I promise you.
It's about like Kirsch. He can't say Kirsch. He says curse.
Yeah. So Aaron's boss at his other job is Matt Kirsch, but I just call him Matt Curse.
I thought that's how it was pronounced too.
That's a curse with a K, by the way.
Yeah.
Just in case anybody's wondering. Yep. But anyways, I'm at Rainier, aka Flamin' Dirt. Flamin' Dirt is the name of your powder coating business.
Yes.
Correct? You're from Dallas, Texas. Not originally, though.
Yeah.
So
further deep south.
So before we get into how we met and what we've done, why don't you just kind of give us a little bit of a history of, I guess, is it fair to say how you ended up on this side of the pond?
Yeah. I think that's.
I don't want to. I don't know how the lingo goes there. I don't want to insult nobody. I know you didn't swim over here, but
when you butcher everybody's name, does it really matter?
Well, it's not. It's Rainier.
Yeah, but there's such a thing as adding insult to injuries.
Right. It's not insult, honestly. Like I do it to his face, you know.
Yeah. See, now you know how I feel all the time.
I'm trying to remember when he first met me how he pronounced my name. It's somewhere in one of the videos.
Oh,
my friends go like, "Why did Mike call you that?"
That's like the poor. You remember? I don't want to get off track here. Remember the poor guy from Workbrow? So what did I keep calling him?
Tyler.
His name was Tyler. And I started calling him something else.
Yeah, and you did like the whole day.
No, his name wasn't. Oh boy, I'm going to screw this up again. We need to figure this out. We're going to see him in Vegas.
Yes.
Todd. His name was.
No, his name was Tyler, but you were calling him something.
Anyways, his name was Tyler, but the whole time in the videos, I started calling him by another name, so that's his new name at work now. Like nobody calls him Tyler no more.
Oh, I just remember Regier.
Regier, that's what.
That's what you called.
Yeah, Regier. See, I got Rainier. It's one name at a time. Like this year, we got the first name down pat. Next year, we're working on the last name. I got him saved in my phone as Flamin' Dirt, so that makes it a lot easier.
I have you as the Mayor Michelle, so.
Oh my goodness!
There you go.
You trying to figure out what his name was?
I got it right. I was just checking.
Oh, what did I keep calling him though? His name was Tyler, but I kept calling him something else.
Remember it was like off the wall because I was like, man,
I thought I nailed it. He kept agreeing with me. I'm like, all right, cool.
Steve? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it wasn't Steve. It's something else with a T. Trevor. I kept calling him Trevor.
There you go.
I called him Trevor for like 3 videos straight. And then I come to find out his name was Tyler when I got an email from him. I'm like,
so here I'd be like, hey, Tyler, can you come over here and check this out? And Mike be over there, hey, Trevor, come over here. So he was answering both Tyler.
I have never claimed to be good with names.
I have a massive downfall there.
Yeah, but you got a huge advantage. Like English is like your third language. Like English is my only language. So.
You don't have quantity or quality.
So my excuses are like way out the window here, you know.
I'll tell you a good story about not remembering people's names. I lived in the desert up in Africa, in the Kalahari Desert, and we lived in a small town, but it was literally the only town within, I think it's something like 1 million square miles. So all the doctors, lawyers, all the professional services is in this town, and then of course all the farmers who's around. Now, if you own a small business there, everybody knows who you are.
Right.
So you walk most of the time. So I'll be walking down the street and people will come up to me and says, "Hey, Renier, how are you doing? How's things?" And you don't recognize them. But it was simple. As if the guy wore shorts with some, boots, you're like, "Oh man, how's the rain? How's the farming?" and if you wear something a bit more formal, you go like, "Oh, how's business, buddy?" I got away with that for the 4 years I lived there. It's just based on how they were dressed.
So it's good detective work there.
Yeah.
What were we doing this week? We figured out my detective skills weren't the best. That's a whole nother topic, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're getting way off subject. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
Back to what we want.
let's get back to our guest. This podcast is not about you, buddy.
You either.
So, anyways, you were born in South Africa.
Born and raised in South Africa.
What now? So, I talked to you a little bit about this whenever you were here last time, but the picture I had in my head of South Africa and the picture you painted were like two completely different things.
And I think it's a common idea that whatever you see in the movies
Right.
is,
But it's a lot more civilized than I realized.
South Africa looks like the States. I mean,
Yeah, that's what I
it's
guess
not-
that's what I'm kind of getting
not
at is
even- and it goes. I've been privileged that I've traveled quite a few countries in my life, and it goes for the most part. All the countries I've been in. I mean, nobody truly lives, in the dark ages anymore, unless you go up to like very deep in Central America, very deep in Central Africa, and if we go to some of the Arabian countries, there are people who literally don't have any power, don't have any water, things like that. But for
Right.
the most part,
Yeah.
you get this basic things are there. There are streets, there are street lights, there are some form of a traffic management system. I would say the biggest difference is from country to country is how well people manage the services.
yeah.
It's where you see the big
The
difference.
services is in all government provided
road conditions, safety,
Infrastructure,
ambulance
fire and
services.
rescue.
And that, I must say, in all the countries I've traveled, has varied drastically from country to country. Some of them are fantastic. And even in our own country here in the United States. Because
This
I'm
sounds like a
citizen.
very good impromptu rating.
Yeah.
So who's number one?
The best I have ever seen, personally experienced, I must say, is actually in my hometown in Dallas.
Really?
My late wife got hurt, and she called the ambulance services, and they were there in a matter of seconds. And so I actually went and did the research. 2 minutes and 45 seconds is
Really?
the average time from when they have your address until they are in front of your door.
Well, that ain't happening here.
Yeah, about 2 hours is the average time. Right? So do not get hurt in the shop.
Yeah. Don't get hurt in the shop.
Yeah, and it's the same thing when I lived in New York. Is you in the city? It actually takes 45 minutes on average to get somebody there. Now I'm sure
Yeah.
there's New Yorkers who say there are places that is better,
Right. Right.
but it's a common thing. But yeah, I would say the smaller towns, and what I've seen, the little I have traveled in the world, and specifically in our country in the States, is you see it from how people react.
Yeah.
So in Dallas, if there's any emergency services on the road, it's like the parting of the Dead Sea. I mean, people just scatter and give them room to go.
Yeah.
When I lived in New York, they have to make quite a bit of noise before people try to get out of their way. So I think the community contributes to how good the emergency service is by playing the game and getting out of their way when they want to.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole here, but it aggravates me a little bit whenever people, and I've been guilty of this myself. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not. As we sit here and complain about things in this country, and then we don't realize how good we've got it. Because you don't have to go travel very far at all to realize it could be a whole lot worse. The worst here, it could be a whole lot worse.
Oh, absolutely. And I, sadly, my family has lived through it. My cousin was one of the best orthopedic surgeons in South Africa, cousin once removed. And he died because his own hospital couldn't get an ambulance to him in time.
Wow.
Really?
It took them something like 2 hours to finally get him to the hospital. He died from a brain aneurysm, which they could have fixed
Right.
had they
If
gotten
they-
him.
Yep.
So this goes to show how bad it can get in certain situations, and to say he was not an unknown person. He
Yeah.
was famous, and he was within 5 miles from his
Whoa.
own hospital, and they couldn't get to him.
Really?
And
Yeah.
once they got there, it was too late. So it's there's definitely a difference in service. in my opinion, my humble opinion, the great thing about United States is we still have enough of a voting balance that you can change things. So many other countries I've traveled in, the dominant party is so dominant that there's really nothing.
You're just along for the ride.
You're pretty much along for the ride. You're either, your opinion aligns with the current superpower or it doesn't. But there's very little you can do. We are still balanced enough here that if the scale tips too far to whatever side,
Yes.
people will start changing sides and bring the scale back and say, okay, no, this is not good. This is not what I meant when I was voting that side. Now I'm going to go look on this side.
Yep.
And then the same thing, your scale goes too far on that side. So I believe that that is our big saving grace. I'm talking about generations.
Right,
Not,
right.
you know, between next week and the week after is we somehow find our way back home again. Whereas in many of the really dominant.
I sure hope you're right, because I feel like we're on a little adventurous trip right now.
So I say it'll balance. It always balances itself out, and I think that's a great privilege to still be able to do that.
Right.
I mean, I have been on both sides. If you think about South Africa's history, in apartheid era, there was only a white vote, so that was the only vote that counted. And then after apartheid was abolished, everybody had a vote, but the numbers was 95% to 5%, so the vote tipped to the other side. One thing I did find interesting is that everybody who is on the losing side of any voting contest always felt like they got cheated. and then the same thing happens when the powers shift. You know, then all the people who feel they got cheated is just on the other side of the coin. You know, we got a lot of privilege. I mean, I came here as a choice.
Right, right.
I could have gone anywhere in the world I wanted, and I came to the States because I wanted to be.
So let's talk about that a little bit. You grew up as a kid in South Africa. I'm assuming you finished high school or whatever their version of that is there. Once you graduated, this would have been, I don't want to give your age, but this would have been in the 90s.
I graduated 84. I don't mind saying that. They actually made a movie about our class. Class of 84 was a movie. It was interesting is Class of 84 came out long before I was in my final year in high school.
Really?
I had a different experience than most kids. I was very privileged. I lived in the school district of one of the top schools in the country. And so I was able to go to the school because they have to take the kids in that district.
That district.
And so I had a much better high school experience than most kids. A lot of people I talk to, they refer to college as this amazing time. And my time in college, I went twice. The first time I went was for engineering, and I got sick. And funny enough, the college canceled my tuition the day after I paid it. They literally, on the Friday was the final day to pay the rest of the year's tuition. And on the Monday morning was a letter in the mail that said, you missed too many classes.
Really?
I'm like, you could have told me that on Friday before I paid for the
I
second
didn't have your money
year.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
This is the official last payment date. This is the official. But yeah, so I went back to work. We got to back up a little bit. It'll make more sense. I was 12 years old when I got interested in computers, and
which this would have been mid 80s.
yeah, back
Which-
then.
Did you know about computers in the mid 80s, Jason?
Yes.
I mean,
Man, I must have been living underneath a rock because I don't think I knew about a computer until.
Yeah. I was designing them in the early 70s.
What's that?
I was designing them in the early 70s.
Okay.
You didn't know?
Was not aware. I apologize, there, little buddy.
Sorry,
Oh,
guys.
you're welcome.
I'm trying to think my first computer experiences was probably legitimately high school, which would have been the mid 90s,
I'd say early 90s for me. Yeah.
somewhere in there. And it wasn't something I embraced.
We had, it was, I think it was my freshman year, we had computer class.
Yeah.
And that was when we.
No, I take that back. Back up the coal train. I was a badass on Oregon Trail on the old Apple floppy disk.
I was gonna say, I had a NASCAR video game that I remember playing.
That was elementary school in the basement library at old St. Paul's.
Oh,
So that would have been late 80s.
yeah.
Late 80s. But yeah, Oregon Trail. You had to blow the dust off the old floppy and get her in there just right.
Yep.
That's fun. So that's where it started. But I mean, back then, computers wasn't a subject you could take at high school. It didn't exist. And so I walked up to what was a small development shop in our town, knocked on the front door and said, I would like to learn how to program. And the guy said, sorry, son, we don't have time to teach kids. And I asked, well, can I at least meet some of the programmers? They said, yeah, okay, you can. They took me to this back room, dark back room where these guys were sitting coding. And I spent about an hour with them. And the one gentleman, I wish I could find him today, but I think he's passed by now. But he took me under his wing and he went back to the manager and said, I want to train this kid. So I worked for them for obviously no pay for about a year and a half. And then I got good enough to where I started professionally programming when I was 14.
Really?
So I had to go.
So you were doing this while you were in school?
I had fantastic parents, still have them. My parents were massively supportive. And the only rule was I had to keep my grades high enough so I can go to university. There's a certain distinction in South Africa. You have to qualify. It's called a university exemption. But yeah, I was 14 years old. I would get up 7 in the morning, go to high school, get home at 1:30 is when school go out there, eat something, 2 o'clock, go to the office, come back 2 in the morning, sleep 5 hours.
So all these years later, are you just as passionate about it now as what you were then?
Yes. I would say I am lucky enough that I can be a little bit picky about what I program.
Right.
But no, the passion has never gone away. And you go through phases. I mean, it's
so how, and this is, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but how different and how similar is programming then versus programming now?
It's similar in the sense that it's still a logic problem to be solved. It's completely different. I mean, if you count the so-called generations of languages, being actually talking assembler or the raw computer language being generation 1, the lowest form, we must be somewhere about 7 or 8 now. So it started off, if you want to program anything, you either need to learn assembler or you need to program in a language that took quite a while to convert, what they call compile, convert back to assembler. And you had very limited memory, you had very, very slow machines. So you had to be really, really creative. I mean, I cringe today if I see some of the younger programmers load a module of which they use maybe a button that eats up 10 meg. We didn't even have 1 meg of total memory back then. So that has changed. The last few years, the so-called no-code languages came in. The concept being that you don't actually program, you just give the machine a set instructions. So anybody can program in no-code. It's made it a lot more accessible. Unfortunately, with it comes the problem that you've now put so many layers on top of layers on top of layers that it's a lot more inefficient from a machine perspective. Luckily, the computers have got so damn fast it doesn't matter.
So basically, the computers have come fast enough they can sort through all their own garbage to find what they need.
And think about it. If you have a assembler language, I think there's a total of 11 instructions in the original assembler. Obviously, combinations and permutations got to what you want. You get to some of these no-code languages these days, and they have thousands of potential instructions you can use. And each instruction will have several options, 20, 30 options of little things you can change. If you think about a button, you can change the shape, you can change the color, you can change what's written on it, you can change how it behaves. Well, when the computer goes through its instructions, it has to test for every single one of those options. See, did the guy put the light on? Did he not put the light on? Even whether he was going to use the color button or not doesn't matter. It still has to read through all this stuff. So you end up, where it used to be a few thousand machine instructions could give you something. It's now billions. But computers can process billions of instructions a second. Right. So that's different. It used to be, in my humble opinion, there used to be a lot more pride behind it. If you could figure it out, if you could work with it,
you could crack the code.
There was something really special about that. Not just the skill set, but the achievement that went with it. these days, you almost don't even mention your program anymore. You'll say you're an IT professional, but how you profession doesn't come into it. So there's not a lot left. There's a couple of really unique programming opportunities today. Obviously, everything around the AI space is fascinating, and how far the guys have come with AI. Some of the super high-speed stuff, like stuff we did for the bank, where you sorting through billions of transactions a minute. There was unique skills in that field where you, even a computer at its fastest. We once did a test on some communication, transactions for like trading, and I just looked at it, and we were literally approaching the speed of light. Where if they wanted this stuff much faster, even if the computer took no time at all, just the time it took for the signal to travel on the optic cable from Dallas to New York and back would become the block. So that was neat stuff to do.
So circling back around, so you, I guess, did you work at this computer shop up and through graduating high school?
I did.
And then once you graduated high school, that's when you took off to
uni to do engineering. Got sick, had to come back. I was lucky with good grades. I got a really good scholarship to go to uni. But the problem with it was when they said I couldn't finish my year, I had to pay that scholarship back.
Really?
So the obvious thing to do was go back to programming, because remember, by now I've been programming for 6 years.
So then did you go back to university for a second attempt?
Second time for computer science. That was an easy one for me. Funny enough, I got tricked up with physics, which is actually a subject I thoroughly enjoyed. I just didn't grade well in it for some reason. And then I just got to a point where I'm like, I am now, 23 years old. I've got 9 years of computer programming experience behind me. Why do I keep on wanting this degree? Why is that such a big thing for me?
Right.
And I just thought from there on, I just coded.
So you were at that point when you made the decision, you didn't chase the degree no more. You went straight into the
programming side. Yeah.
So, and obviously at this point, you're still in South Africa, right? So how did that bring you here?
A close friend of mine in the desert town where I was. I ended up in the desert because I wrote the software to design the pipeline that went through the desert. Engineering firm hired me to do that. Amazing humanitarian project, getting water to people who've never seen water other than whatever they could pull out of the ground. Suddenly there was actual water. And a friend of mine there, he came to the States on a tennis scholarship.
On a tennis, like playing with a little green ball?
Yeah, tennis scholarship. And he started computer science, and he met a friend who was doing a legal degree. Two of them started a small training software firm. And that's how I came over. He called me one day. I was helping them with tests in South Africa. He called me one day and said, look, but I got to let this go. We've been working on this for 5 years. We're getting nowhere. I got to go. I got to continue with my career. I got to do something else. And I said to him, well, the only thing I'm working on right now is really your stuff. So if you're going to cancel that, I have nothing specific to work on. Why don't you fly me over to the States and let me see what I can do to help? Because I was only doing testing. I wasn't doing any programming for that. And I came over, and in the 6 weeks that I allotted to help them, was able to turn it around to where they felt like they now have a chance.
So this was basically software for trading
software for stock trading.
Oh, okay. Stock. Gotcha.
So the full screen where you can go pick your stocks. So it was used extensively by professionals, but the whole idea was that any member of the public who had a trading account could use it. So our target client was really broker dealers.
Gotcha.
So you could sign up for a trading account at a broker dealer. And in that time that our software started making a mark is when all these internet-based, to do your own trade type stuff was growing.
Well, I mean, I guess kind of looking back on it, you were pretty fortunate to get your training and knowledge when you did, because you were kind of ahead of the computer curve for the most part as it gained its popularity and the internet become more prevalent, I guess, would be the.
No, absolutely, and not saying they weren't brilliant people who didn't supersede me. I mean, there were some guys that I've met in my career that's just phenomenal in what they can do with a computer. And I think I have met, you never know because you never met all of it, but I know of at least 2 people I met in my life that must be in the top 20, 25 people who ever programmed. So yeah, there's people who caught up and went way ahead of me.
Right.
I just feel honored that I was good enough in it to actually talk to these human beings. You know? Because when you know people like Bao Hong start talking at his level, programming world might know who he is. He's one of the true geniuses of this industry. If you're not savvy, you'll lose the thread. So that's my claim to fame, is I could actually follow him. So but that was something special. Yeah, it helped. It helped. And I remember the whole thing about 10,000 hours. I was about 33 years old. Not saying that I couldn't program up to that point, but at 33, I got to a point where you would hear the problem and you'd already have the programming solution. It just took time to type it out. So you get to that point. I don't know if you guys remember the movie Matrix.
Oh, yeah.
Where he finally sees the zeros and ones in the walls. That's the best way I can describe if you get to that level.
Yeah.
Where somebody will say, oh, what if we do this? And you immediately see the solution. But unfortunately, it's like, homework. You gotta go right. You gotta go type it. And some of these programs take months to just program.
Yeah.
So the first project in the States was the stockbrokering software, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you have intention to stay in here, or were you planning on going back? Or
the idea was that I would go back after helping, and then they asked me to stay.
Gotcha.
And so I came, and I was basically part of the furniture when Bank of America bought the whole kit and caboodle.
So Bank of America basically bought your guys' software.
They came down to look at the software as a potential product. And one of the gentlemen that was part of that team, I believe, was part of the acquisitions team as well. Long story short, he figured out that Bank of America could buy our company for less than what their current trading software would cost them over the next 3 years.
So you guys basically sold out to Bank of America at that point.
Yeah.
So, but you kind of went with them, didn't you? Didn't you continue to work?
I'm the only one of the original guys who stayed. The two regional guys who started it, they retired. And then the third gentleman that was part of a pack of 4, he got other opportunities and left. He came back later years and worked with us again, which was really cool because the gentleman's name is Steve Kofer. I don't think many people know about him. He's the guy that cracked the Russian encryption code.
Really?
Yeah. He's got, military people will be able to tell me what exactly, but he's got the highest medal the military can give to a civilian.
And this is the guy that will work with you on the software.
So he got that because after the Enigma machine came the code book, and they ran that code book for a very long time. His wife was a Russian language expert in the military, and he was the programmer. So she did the translations, he did the code cracking, and he actually cracked the book.
Really?
And from what I've heard is it took quite a while before they even realized they had so much confidence in that book. It took quite a while before they realized the book was cracked. So I got to work with them. True genius. True genius.
Yeah.
So there was some massive progress to work.
So how many years did you spend in the Bank of America fold, I guess?
So we bought out end of 04, beginning of 05. And I stayed with them until 2012. So until after the merger with Merrill Lynch. At that level, you get yourself in a position where you cannot leave.
Right.
So I went from the guy that was the brains behind, or last man standing behind Instaquote. I got opportunity after opportunity. And I when I left the bank, I was head of electronic trading at the bank. So from a technology perspective, of course, not a financial perspective.
Right.
So I had all of the US electronic trading was under me. And they pay you in a small cash part and then mostly shares. but it takes years to get the shares. Every company changes it, but the normal formula is basically if you get paid this year in shares, you can get a third of it next year and a year after that and a year after the so-called retention bonuses. Well, you play that game, they sit with 2 years of your salary because those shares are worth about 80% of what you earn all the time.
Yeah.
And so, and you can, if you resign, it's done. They went through a rather big retention in 2012. And unlike the previous ones that was based on number of people, this one was tied to dollars. So taking a senior guy would be the better thing. And I actually asked, could I be on the list? Boss said, no, why would I let you go? I said, well, I will never get another opportunity to get out. So I left and then started the consulting company.
So basically, once you left the bank, you kind of branched out on your own and just started
Consulting
and doing, I don't want to say pet projects, but you did cherry picking your projects of kind of different things that are helping different people along the way or different projects, I guess.
Yeah. And I still consulted in the banking industry because that's where my expertise is. But we started the prototyping shop, which is basically what all you and I do is from that section where that was always, to me, that was an exciting thing to do, is to be able to be in a position to make people's dreams come true in a affordable manner.
Right, right.
Some of the stuff I've seen is prototypes we built for people that was, $5,000 or $10,000 prototypes. Official prototyping companies would say, okay, bring us $250,000 and we'll look at it. Now, granted, some of them should never be built. I've seen some ideas we shouldn't see.
We've never built anything that should never be built. We built a tile plow they said would never work.
Yeah.
I would consider tile plow I'm talking about stuff that you look at the idea and go like, no.
Yeah.
But you can't tell the guy he's got a horrible idea, so you gotta say, sorry, we don't have the skill set. We don't have that machine that you need to make this. You got to come up with ways in which you discourage people.
That's a very politically correct way of saying if you got a crap idea.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
The ones I've ever seen is this was just almost like a remote control idea for animals. An idea was that you would, you push a button, the dog gets food. And by then home IoT was already running. Like, you can do that with software. But the lady came to us with the idea, and she took a piece of wood, and in it was carved out the little remote control. Perfect to scale where the buttons are going to be. It's just like, oh, but you can see I've already got it. You just got to make these buttons work for me. I'm like, man, I'm sorry. Because, like I say, by then you could do the damn stuff off your phone, so why would you do it?
Yep.
I need to give this thing real quick before I forget, so he's responsible. You'd be very proud of me. Before I did the brake check and Bubba dump, I took that off the dash so it didn't go flying.
Into the dash.
You're welcome.
Inside.
So now it's your responsibility to keep track of small parts.
There you go.
Man, I don't get a break around here.
So now that you've been in the prototype and consulting business, like what's some of the standout projects you've either did for programming or prototyping on that side?
Well, the big problem with that is you cannot talk about them.
Oh, man.
But think about it. The first thing that somebody who's got an idea is they believe it's the greatest idea ever, and the neighbor is going to
that's complete opposite of me, because every time I get an idea, I'm pretty convinced it's the stupidest idea ever, but I'm not smart enough to quit.
Yeah.
No, that's very common. Is nothing that comes into the prototype shop is not showered in NDAs and non-disclosure, which is when we had this conversation last year, what I was so excited about doing the tile plow. We're actually going to share what we're doing.
Right.
But without naming specific stuff, I would say the stuff that we do in the robotics world, the mechanical combined with electronic world, is the stuff I enjoy the most. Programming wise, I've been there, done that. I think the only thing that I would still have wish to be able to do is something on the scale of the weather forecast space.
Really?
It is the biggest data set that gets consumed on a daily basis in the world that I'm aware of.
The weather.
Yeah. So we always joked and said, the only people that have more data than we have in the trading industry is NOAA. The only difference is we have to get it right every microsecond. NOAA only has to give a prediction every 6 hours and be right half of the time. But yeah, I think at that scale, there should be something really interesting to do. You know, when you're talking about how many weather stations they have actively reading weather all day long. But yeah, their current demand is every 6 hours.
Really?
NOAA has to put out a new one every 6 hours. I think there's some of their competitors like Windy and those guys that are doing their own for hire, public weather predictions that are doing it at a higher rate. But NOAA is supposed to come up. So that would be nice. And of course, the one thing it's still missing from my side, other than the amateur rockets we flew, is doing something in the space program would be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
We're not building any rocket ships.
Yeah,
Don't get your hopes up. I don't think that'll be coming out of this shop
No.
unless it's a foam one.
Well,
Not with that attitude.
That was one of the coolest things. So I have a rule that I learn a new skill every year. And it's anything from trying to learn languages. I've never been good at it, to knitting. I mean, I learned how to sew. It always has some correlation back to engineering. I learned weaving because weaving machines are incredibly interesting machines. I learned sewing because I built my own rockets and I sewed my own parachutes. So I would say of the things I've learned, the one that's closest to my heart is the amateur rocketry.
Really?
It's just a very unique, special space to be in.
So I know nothing about this. So what's the amateur rockets 101?
So in the United States, you are allowed to fly your own rockets up to roughly 200,000 newtons, which is a big rocket. I mean, the engine is basically this big, 6 inches by sometimes 30 inches long. You're allowed to multiply them. We are self-governed, and it's something that the amateur rocket guys are very serious about. So there's exams and things to pass to go to the bigger and bigger rockets. But it's because the two amateur rocket flying bodies put those rules in place to show to the government professionals and officials, hey, we can manage ourselves. Don't go and shower us with rules. But yeah, you can start, go to Hobby Lobby. You can buy one of the small little rockets, and then you can go up and up.
So do you buy these or do you build them? Or
if you start passing, I would say about 4,000 feet, you got to assemble yourself, and you can build small ones yourself too. But you can buy rocket little Estes is the biggest product name. Rocket at Hobby Lobby. Where was a unique place I saw them the other day that I didn't expect them. I think it was in a craft store, not Hobby Lobby. Michael's, I think, had them.
really?
But yeah, so you can buy them, and they are either pre-assembled or they need a little bit, and all you need is a field, and there's rules, depending on how your rocket to go, how big the field has to be. Can't fly if there's a burn ban. But other than that, you can stick it up in the air and go.
So Aaron's been welding and cutting and torching in this shop for 3-4 years with a box of road flares underneath his welding bench.
yeah. Yeah. And had no clue.
I've told him multiple times.
I got rid of them.
Emergency use, huh? Light
Well,
any.
His shop's only been on fire like 4 times. He's responsible for 3.5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
The other half was actually him on fire.
Yeah.
Not the shop.
Yeah.
He ran outside, so it didn't count.
There last year, I did have the shop on fire 3 or 4 times. Myself, a couple.
I'm not an Aaron's level at all, and I'm a bench welder, not a real welder.
That's a pipe fitter.
Yeah.
Pipe fitters are better welders.
Yeah.
My other boss, we were talking about
Matt Kirsch.
Yeah,
Oh,
Matt
Curse.
He's a pipe fitter. So I said, you can handle all them bench welds. I said, I'll do the field welds. We got to get in there where you can't get to them.
And I don't think people realize the massive difference between those two skill sets.
Yeah.
Bench welding, it still takes, I'm a big TIG welder.
I love TIG welding. Yes.
It still takes a long time to learn, but I mean, everything is standing still. You're in perfect position. You're well supported. You can take your time. What he does is just blows my mind.
Yeah.
It don't blow my mind.
Yeah.
I don't let his head blow up.
But I got a friend who sent me this wonderful T-shirt. Got to send you guys a picture of it. But basically, it's this guy bench welding.
Yep.
And it says, "Yeah, I'm fully aware that I'm on fire. Let me just quickly finish this one run." Yeah. I've actually gotten to the point where I'm almost getting too calloused about it, because we acetone everything before we weld, and I've got a nice solid metal welding bench. Well, you wipe down, you throw the acetone rag over there. I had 4 of them already. And you're welding, you're like, something smells funny.
I've learned
but literally, you finish the weld. And then you look.
Which headphones are yours? What number are you?
What number am I?
Yeah, on the headphones here.
I'm number
Well,
1.
number 1. All right, I'm gonna turn Aaron's headphones off.
Yeah.
So I figured out with Aaron, what I do is I see he's on fire and I wait for him to quit kind of twitching a little bit, where I know it's got to get burnt. I'm like, Aaron, you're on fire. By that time, he's done got a hole burnt in the side of his thing, you know. Okay, we'll turn you back on now. You're good. Can you hear us now?
Yeah. What you say?
Nothing. Exactly.
Lost signal.
But yeah, it happens.
Yeah, he will. He'll let me burn.
Well, you got to finish the pass.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's just, and people don't understand that.
I'm not grinding it out.
To make a perfect weld, there's
Yep.
nothing worse than
And it always will
stopping.
happen. Like before you're bringing your stop
Yeah.
up, it'll happen about an inch to go, and you'll feel it start burning on the arm. It's like, oh, I can make it. Because Heliarc, it's TIG welding. It's a little bit slower. You're like, oh, I can make it. And it usually gets to right when you're tying back in. And what I always do is I go back and I grab my old weld to heat it up and make that little circle, do that last dab, and I can't do it. I go,
you gotta put.
ah.
I've got so with the acetone work. My big mistake is I got lazy, so I want to take my welding gloves off. And I just quickly acetone the next one. Well, then the welding gloves are soaked in the acetone. And of course, with TIG, there's not a lot of sparks. So you get away with it 5, 6, 7, 8 times before it's just that arc as you start is enough to let the glove on fire. And you can't see it.
Yeah.
Especially not with these new auto, welding helmets, because you never
Aaron's
lift your
don't
helmet
work.
up.
Yeah.
Aaron got a new helmet and he still hasn't figured out how
I
to
ain't
use
got
it.
it figured out yet.
I think it's got a computer on it.
Yeah, we may need your help with this one.
I can help you. I finally broke down and spent it's almost $300 you pay for the True Vision ones.
Yeah.
The True Color. Oh my God. It makes
3M?
world's difference. Yeah.
The 3M ones?
No, mine's not 3M. It's another brand, but I've seen the 3M ones. I was very jealous of those.
I said for the longest time I'll never go to a 3M. I love the Slur ones, but then I got one at work and I'll never go back.
Yep, because you're running Speed Glass, ain't you, Jason?
Yeah, forced air.
Yep, the 3M Force. Yeah,
That's the one you want me to buy.
that's
I
the one I
refused.
wanted him to buy me.
Well, hold on now. While he can listen to you, I have a friend who's willing to sell you one brand new in a box, half price.
Really? Did you hear that, boss?
Oh, I'm boss now, huh?
I'll let you be my boss. You're gonna buy me that hood. So I got the Lincoln Viking now. Jason, is what I got. I got it here about a year or 2 years ago, but I've been not working out here, but working at my other part-time job in the boilers, and I ain't been doing much welding, pushing that button on the radio.
Well,
I ain't had really a good chance to use it. And what has happened was I get out here and I try to set it on shade 10 and it's like on shade, I don't know, 4. And I can't do this.
Did you know how
you haven't found that jump button on the
I got
you know how you're talking about trying to weld while your arm's on fire? He's trying to weld while his eyes are on fire. Like
I've been there.
He's just raises his lid up, like you can just tell he's seeing spots everywhere.
Yeah.
But that whole what they call it, safety squint thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, guys. I was maybe in high school, I think late high school, when I helped my dad weld up a gate for a house, and I ended up with full-blooded
Flash burn.
arc eyes, and never. You go through that once in your life.
Yep.
And you will never ever look at a weld again.
Yeah.
So I had the bright idea one time. We had one hood, but we had 2 cutting lenses, torch lenses there, face shields. So I'll just double them up and I'll help this guy, watch him, and you know.
5 plus 5 is not 10.
Oh man! After about 8 hours of that, I was spending the next morning at the eye doctor, and
Yeah.
then I had patches on my eyes for a week.
But I don't think people you can explain to people other than it is the equivalent of getting sand, but
Oh,
not in your
yeah.
eyes. It's sand on your retinas,
Yes.
and there is nothing you can do to scratch that edge.
No.
It's unbelievable.
It's terrible.
Glass behind your eye.
It's worse than getting brake fluid in your eyes,
Yeah.
and then
Because you still wash it out.
yeah, and then
Twice.
yeah. I'd get it once, like, oh, that burnt bad, that burnt real bad, and he goes, well, let's try it one more time. Well, like an idiot, I go and I'm trying to hold my thumb over this hose, and he's pumping that. What was that?
That was the master cylinder on
That's right,
Bubba Dunk.
master cylinder, and he starts pushing that pump, and I'm trying to hold. I can't hold it, not let it fly, and it goes right in my eye again.
Oh man, that's,
But I would take that over flash burn any day.
no, that's that is the worst I have ever heard.
Yeah.
and it's. I mean, it is not. I'm not saying I haven't had worse pain. You know, I've cut
Yeah.
myself badly. I've got literally every digit I've damaged in the
Yeah.
shop at some
Yeah.
point in my life. But it's the fact that you cannot get to that hurt.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do,
You can't do
to
anything.
get there.
Yeah.
It is insane, and your eyes tear nonstop
yeah.
until it's healed because it thinks it's on your leg.
But yeah,
This
Yeah.
is pouring water over your face. No, that was not a good one.
I've had a few minor flash burns, but I've never had anything as bad as what you guys are saying.
It sucks.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about it. So
I was actually in a YouTube video. I was showing somebody how to weld, and I would, or no, it was line boring to 120. Aaron would strike an arc, and I would flip my helmet down anyway. And there's guys in the comments, I don't know why you're doing that. You're wasting your time. Da, da, da. I'm like, you ever been flash burned? No, I didn't think so.
I know, yeah, I remember the guy that commented. I think it was in the dumbass comments. The guy commented that he got flash burned through the TV.
Yeah, I'm watching the video.
I was like, you got a damn good TV, boy.
That's a 5K.
Yeah. Sign me up for that. So, well, we'll circle or continue on here, I guess. But so how did you and I cross paths, or how? Let's I guess we need to get to that at some point.
Yeah. So
Sorry about that too.
Yeah.
actually, I was in New York and coming down, not New York, in Annapolis. We were coming down, moving in a small RV for a friend, and we came by here, and I wanted to at least get to the Derby market, and we got here. It was the day before Christmas.
It was the day before
and
Christmas.
there
Was
nothing, nobody there.
so I guess you'd found me on YouTube.
Yeah, no, we've been watching your videos. I gotta go double check. We can correlate it, but I think you were at 5,000
Just
viewers from what I
really?
found you, yeah.
See, I was a nobody, Jason. Still am a nobody, but
I was watching you before that.
you were one of my first 30.
Yeah.
Don't you feel privileged?
Oh, yeah.
You spent like 6 months having a bigger channel than I did.
Not even.
Yeah.
It
So
was like 6 hours.
you found me pretty early then.
Yeah, and was watching the videos and just enjoyed the content and stuff. We came by and you weren't there, and then you came to put out the pre-Christmas trash run with the kids.
Yeah.
And we just happened to run, and I said, well, there's some cool stuff we can do on Bubba Dump. He said, well, before I can do Bubba Dump, I need, so not Bubba Dump on
Yeah, because we had started building the tile plow, but none of that had
Yeah.
been posted on YouTube yet.
You said, no, I got some other stuff I want you to help with. And that's how we started and did the first run, the 13 days of working nights. And
Yeah, but that's what's
Yes.
absolutely, and Jason, you can jump in here too, or Aaron, both. But that's what's absolutely awesome about YouTube is the people you meet and the relationships you build. Like
Yeah.
me and Aaron, between the two of us, like I was confident we had the knowledge to do the mechanical building of the tile plow, but I had no idea how to do any of the grade control stuff. Like that was out of my realm. And then here, this guy shows up the day before
Yeah.
Christmas that happens to be a prototyper and a computer programmer. And I'm like, hey, it's early Christmas. But kind of to his point, I was more excited about trying to just like, I'm never going to be able to program a computer, but just being able to see it done
Yeah.
and understand how it works. And kind of, I mean, we were working on some
Tinker
stuff here
around,
tonight,
yeah, and I'm
tinkering
like,
tonight. It's just intriguing, you know, it's something we don't do every day. So, you were actually going to offer to help do some powder coating on Bubba Dump,
Yeah.
is where the conversation
Yeah, it
started.
wasn't Bubba Dump. It was still.
Lieutenant Dan. Yeah,
Lieutenant
Bubba Dump
Dan.
didn't
Yeah.
exist at the
Yeah,
time.
it was still Lieutenant Dan.
And we got talking about stuff, and then I realized there's a chance maybe you could help me with some grade control stuff. So we started talking back and forth, and then so that was before Christmas.
Yeah.
And when did you come back in March?
March. We finally got calendars linked up in March.
And by that time, we had the tile plow built.
Mhm.
And don't let me speak out of term here, but we had a rough idea of what we wanted to do, but we went from concept to working prototype in 13 days.
Yeah.
And I know, like, I don't think at the time I knew exactly what we accomplished. I knew we accomplished a lot, but as I posted the videos and I went back and think about it and thought about it, and people that actually knew what we did in the comments, like we literally did a year's worth of work.
Oh yeah, that was the fastest I have ever been involved in a project. And I mean, I warned you in advance that let's start by seeing if we can even begin with something that you can play with or try.
Right.
And it was insane 2 weeks. It just everything we tried worked. Some of the stuff blew up, but then
we let the smoke out of a few components.
but when they blew up, it was even then we knew exactly why they blew up. We were able to problem solve.
Right.
If you think about it, that Sunday when you came back from the family trip, we still haven't had anything work, like talk to each other. We built individual components and we could, each one of them pass their test, but we needed the bulldozer, we needed all the wiring done in between the components, and we needed the plow all in one go.
Yeah, I felt like
Sunday night we put all that stuff together.
Yeah.
Put the video out about, oh my God, look, it looks like it's going to work. And then the next morning, Mike's like, what else do we need to do? I said, no, everything is there except for this one last wire. He made the wire up. The next thing I know, he's got the dozer going.
I don't waste no time. We're plowing pipe, boys.
I thought we testing whether this thing will even follow. And we did, what, for like 30 feet? and he turns around and he looks at who's with us today?
Matt and Garrett was with us, yeah.
Matt, and said to Matt, why don't you run down to the pipe supplier and get us some pipe?
Yeah, so whenever that video that posted, I think you're in the video, that is legit the first time it being like it come out of the shop. Like we did a small trial run here in the shop.
Yeah, but I mean, the tip was never in the ground or
No,
anything.
the
We just saw it move.
Yeah, well, the concept worked, and like literally an hour later, we were plowing pipe.
Yeah.
It was a go time.
He just drove the
Yeah, I
dozer
missed-
across
I
the
missed
road.
all that.
Yeah, you did miss all that.
Because-
You-
I mean, I had to
that
go
was
right back.
actually in that video. He put in the part, I believe, where we said, well, the only sad thing, so all happy about what we achieved.
yeah, and Aaron wasn't
Yeah,
But
there.
you couldn't be there to see.
You got to
it.
blame Matt Kirsch
Yep.
on that.
He
I
was,
got to see it though. I was happy.
Yeah, you were down.
you were down, huh?
Yeah.
Jason took my spot. I'll let it
Yeah.
pass.
But I mean, to think about what we got, 2 microprocessor boards there. We hacked a laser display, built an LCD display. I don't want to I can never write the code, but I feel like, and jump in here if I'm wrong, I feel like I got to the point where I understood what the computer was like, how it was thinking, so I could at least kind of understand what we needed to do or where we needed to go. Now he's the one that made it actually think, as far as everything going on. But that thing, as time went on, we figured out we had some small gimmicky issues with it, which we fully anticipated. And most of it has to do with not our programming or our building. It has to do with the laser display we decided, or laser receiver we decided to use.
And same thing, it was an affordable model.
Right.
It wasn't going to cost us a fortune if we blew it up, because we weren't even building a prototype. We were building a concept.
Yeah.
Right.
And the next thing we know, the concept is
Well, and this
working.
is, this is one thing I did not cover very well in the videos at the time, but to buy a system that would do what we did was about $30,000 or $40,000. I don't know for sure, but we probably got less than $1,000 in that thing.
In the electronic side,
Yeah,
yes, basically in your and my time, and about $1,000 worth of
stuff.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's the only thing we took a shortcut on in that. Oh no, the receiver was several hundred, so make it $1,500. for the whole-
$1,500,
for the
yeah.
whole thing. And that's the thing we took a shortcut. I think the receiver was supposed to be. I think that one goes for like $400.
yeah. We ended up finding a used one on eBay.
Used
For like,
eBay for like $80.
yeah, but
And it's sitting over there. It's still alive.
yeah, it's in the background right here. If you guys can see it, it's still.
How many miles did the concept plow?
We plowed. So last year we plowed about 160,000 feet, and that thing's responsible for grade on probably about half of that.
So what's the prototype going to do then?
So,
Yeah.
well, he just happened to be passing through. We've been trying to get together since last fall, but
There's no we, it's he.
what, Jason, have you ever noticed how busy I am? Like,
I'll answer for you the other way around. After roughly 5 mics of Mike promising me every 2 weeks he's coming to Dallas,
Yeah.
I just got in my car and drove here. So there's your answer.
So you figured it out then.
yeah,
Hey, and
That works, yeah.
No, but I brought my home with me.
Yeah.
So Mike is still visiting me at my house.
Yeah,
I just
see?
had to bring the house here.
and actually, he got lucky. You didn't just turn around after hitting all this wind.
Yeah, he got lucky. I was almost blown over today.
oh
I
man,
actually, didn't see it happen, but I was on the accident scene within minutes. They had actually blew a mobile home off the trailer.
Yeah.
really?
Truck and trailer both fell over.
I picked a few of those up. Were you with me on that one? I picked up off the side of I-64.
No.
This was on I-64.
It flipped over out there, and my local buddy that owns a record company. There's a video of it on YouTube. I posted it. Went out there and winched this thing up on the trailer sideways, and it's got all the insulation and everything hanging out of it. And I told the state cop, I said, "Man, we need to tarp this or do something." He says, "Nope, I need to get home for supper. Go." So I just take off down the interstate about 80 miles an hour. I figured if I'm going to blow it all out, I'm going to blow it all out. So he started off right on me. By the time we got to Ferdinand, he was a long ways back with his lights on. There was insulation and debris all over the place. By the time I turned around and went back the other way, we were all good.
And it wasn't a weight problem anymore.
Nope.
this,
was-
this one, trailer and all, fell over on
Yeah.
its side. But the wind got me twice where I was a good 4 or 5 feet over the line.
Yeah.
Which we felt it. I know when we were.
Yeah, we
just
went to
in a
Evansville,
pickup
Dave.
truck, Went to
That
Evansville.
was
and
scary.
It was windy.
Oh, yeah, that's how we ended up getting back together again.
Yeah,
I
so
just had to come here. to make it
Fortunately, he was traveling through for some other business, and it happened to line up. We got a couple days here before I got to hit the road again, and we're hoping we can get far enough along as we're going to make some kind of a change of how we read the laser.
Yeah, I
and
think what excites me is the fact that normally when you come to version 2 or 3, you get more brazen, you add more features and everything. And I think the thing we learned here is simpler is better.
KISS, keep it simple, Stephen.
So we're actually going to remove the concept that we will be reading the LCD display. And we think we have a potential way of doing that. And then the other thing we wanted to be able, because we're now going to more expensive receivers, we wanted so you can just pull them out and use them for a regular.
Yeah, and another huge advantage we have this time around is last time when we built this, I had plowed 0 feet of tile.
Yeah.
And now we got 160-something thousand feet under my belt. So I kind of know how the the dozer behaves, how the tile plow behaves, how it reacts to grade changes and dips and swoops and all that good stuff. So it's I'm excited. We're gonna kind of be working on 2.0 here. So
Yeah, no, think it's a good one. I mean, there's other stuff we want to do in the future as well, but I
Right.
think this one was for what it was successful enough to come back and say, okay, right, we will waste, for lack of a better word, another one of our collab opportunities to make this one even better before
Right.
we move on to something else.
And you know, I caught a lot of slack for building the tile plow while we're working on Lieutenant Dan. But the reality of it is that tile plow made me a lot of money, and it will continue to make me a lot of money, and it's going to make me money faster than Lieutenant Dan. So it's worth every penny we put into this thing, every minute we put into it. And honestly, I mean, you jump in here, Aaron, and say what you want to. It worked better than we anticipated.
Yeah. And actually, you know, it didn't. I mean, we got it actually built pretty quick.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that redo on the lift cylinders,
Yep.
we would have had that thing built in a week.
Yeah.
Thanks to my good drawings and superb engineering.
Which was part of the contribution to the fact that the cylinders wasn't working.
But to his point, that whole plow was a concept. It was a prototype. It was never meant to be used to the capacity it did. And, you know, Boot somewhat failed on it, which honestly, we built it out of subpar materials because we didn't want to waste a bunch of money on stuff that didn't work.
Yeah. And also, I think there may be a few videos I told you, I think that plow, when we built it, would be able to handle the dozer, not above a dump and a track hoe and everything else up
the
to
entire
it.
fleet hooked up in front of it.
It was, I told him, I was like, I think we're good. I think we're good. That dozer will be fine for that. I didn't expect all this equipment being hooked to it.
I have no idea what you're talking about, sir.
I tell you this, though, the little bit of experience I have had in the construction industry, because my dad is an engineer, there's not a piece of construction equipment that you do not see a bunch of repairs or welds on. The same with my uncle who's in the farming world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what people forget.
I'm gonna go with
That very
farmers. I'm gonna go with farmers have a lot more repairs than construction guys.
Yeah, but the point is, for that, whatever, $75,000, $80,000, the whole kit would have cost you.
Yeah.
There is, I guarantee you, for the amount of load you put on yours, they would have been maybe not a complete boot failure, but you would have been.
You would have had
You'd
failures with
been
it.
welding
Yeah.
by then, and I think that's the
Yeah,
that's
and that's
people forget.
that's another point too. You know, if I was to buy just the tile plow, that's $45,000.
Yeah.
Then you go buy the grade control system and put on it. That's another $40,000. You're talking about $85,000. And I think we had
Well,
$11,000 in the plow.
You started brainstorming the material, what the material was going to cost, and and it was like one of the things. Well, hey, let's go for it.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? Well, in full disclosure, this is one of the advantages of YouTube because I knew if this was a complete total failure, I'd get some of my money
Yeah.
back over video in it.
Yeah.
So that helped kind of ease the pain of a potential failure. But yeah, I think all in, I had like less than $12,000 in
Yeah.
this thing,
Mhm.
and it literally paid for itself on the first job we used it.
And just the fact that you can, that's what I'm talking back to with programmers from the 80s, is the pride factor. The fact that I thought this up, I built it,
Right.
Mhm.
and we spoke a lot about it when I was here last time. To this day, my greatest moments with my dad is the time we spent making stuff.
Right. Well, and
I don't
just,
even know if me and my dad can kind of hold a conversation for 30 minutes just talking about nothing. But we love doing stuff together. And to me, that's special. So the fact that I
Yeah.
could come down here and work with him for 13 days and brainstorm and come up with ideas, that to me was worth it.
well, and
Oh,
the-
granted, I didn't pay the 12 grand for the steel.
but you know, one major difference I think between, well, not completely, but there is some different. But you know, with the tile plow, you can stand back and say, "Look at that! I built that." You can video it watching it work, and nobody else has got one like it. That's yours. With computer programming, I know you can still do that same thing too, but it's not quite the same to get that visual. You know what I mean?
Oh, and that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about the mechanical stuff. My dad's not a
Yeah.
programmer. Everything we do is mechanical.
Yeah.
Mechanical in nature. It's my point is it's a great way to bring friends together and
Right.
spend quality time with people whose company you enjoy.
Yeah.
You know, what's the alternative? You sit in front of a TV and watch sport.
Right.
drink beer. Neither of us drink beer, so that's not. So it's just a fantastic way. And if somebody in that group goes home with something tangible that improves their life, I think that's really, really cool.
Right. Right.
And that to me is what the plow is. It's friends of Dirt Perfect, either the person or the channel, depending on how you look at it, all came together, built something really cool, and it turned out to work for a really long time and actually made
Yeah,
some decent money.
it's blown everybody's expectations away, and it's and according to the YouTube comments, it would never work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but isn't that I don't know, I almost feel like it's you as a YouTuber's responsibility to build that into your experience. If that makes sense.
Well, yeah,
If
I
you-
mean,
if everybody's reaction on everything you ever start with is, oh, it's not never going to work. So you almost want to discount that. Now, what I am excited about from that, I read every single one of the comments in the videos because that was important to me. It was a great experience. Was the people who said, you know what, I couldn't see how this worked in the beginning, and I was one of the people that was negative.
right,
But you opened my eyes, and now I want to build something myself.
right,
That
inspire
part-
people. Yeah,
that part was awesome. I love that part.
yeah, that's some of the honestly, that's some of the best comments I get whenever people say their kids watch this and they're either out there playing in the dirt trying to do stuff or looking, building stuff. But in from a filming standpoint, like what we do, like if we say it don't work, we're not trying to build drama. Like we don't know.
Mm-mm.
And we don't like usually film stuff beforehand to see if it works or not. We usually turn the camera on and we all find out together
Yeah.
for the most part. And I think that's what I don't know if it sets the channel apart a little bit, but I think that's where a lot of people can relate, is because it is what it is.
Yeah.
And if you
That's-
DIY, you have.
We even got
it's a lot of
magic-
failures.
It's a good example of this last project, a project we just rolled out of the shop. It just we built it. Everybody was watching as we built it. It didn't work, and back to the
Major,
drawing board.
major. I was more worried about the angles than I was the protrusion, and my protrusion got me in trouble.
Oh, man. But yeah, it
We'll
was,
have to stay tuned for that. But it's
Yeah.
all on video.
it's all on video.
Not like you and I who blew up the controller.
That was
And we-
the relay, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had to go back and say, well, it's 4 days later. We found a new one. Sorry, we didn't film that. But we literally he just switched the power on, sort of getting ready to film it. And that was already too
Yeah.
late.
Yeah.
But no, and that's one thing awesome about YouTube. It does a good job of aligning like-minded people, whether it's in the comments
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
Jason's a good example. Some of my best friends now is people I've met through the platform. So
I agree with you. And I think if you are not like-minded, there is so much content available on YouTube.
yeah,
Well, you just wouldn't watch that guy.
right.
Yeah.
Go watch the next one or the next one or the next one. And the other thing that I find interesting is obviously I like the construction channels, having started with watching Mike and then later started the Let's Digs and all the other guys, is if you talk to other people, is how they all enjoy construction style videos, but how vastly different their opinions is about which is their favorite and which one they really don't enjoy
Yeah.
Right.
watching. So it's even in a subset of interest, there is a lot of opinions about
Yeah,
what's good.
and I've said that a lot of times. The way I do stuff and the way Chris does stuff, and in some aspects, is completely different. I don't mean either one of us is right or wrong.
I think that's what I'm trying to say. There's a
Yeah.
viewer for Chris's style. There's a viewer for your
Exactly.
style,
In different
there's a
parts of the
viewer for
country.
Diesel Creek style.
Yeah, they're in different parts of the country. Different people do stuff different ways. There's different standards. There's different codes. There's different dirts. There's different everything.
But not just that. I think I'm talking about literally the style of personality in the video
Right,
itself.
right.
There's people who enjoy that video more for whatever he brings to the table. I think it's the interesting.
Well, Jason, we probably need to wrap this one up. You got anything you'd like to add over there?
Yes, I do. Started this on the last episode that I recorded with my friend Chris. And now that we have Flaming Dirt on for the first time officially on the podcast, I've got a question for him. So if someone you've never met before came up to you and asked you for a piece of advice to help them better their life, what would you offer?
I think find the line between respect and success. I think that's the biggest mistake people make is they want to get to success without realizing there's a direct line for respect to get there. You're only going to be successful if you respect the people that you work with, work for, or even work against for that matter. And I think that is the most common thing that I see. People sort of segregate their career success with their personal beliefs.
Yeah, I mean, the
They
first
do
thing
things they think is okay to do in their work environment, and even though they personally was against that, and then don't realize, well, why doesn't my work environment why don't I succeed there?
Yeah, I've seen that happen myself firsthand, to be honest with you.
I like it.
Did we lose you over there?
Did I lose you?
But the next
Oh,
question,
I didn't know if we put him to sleep or what happened over there.
Oh, you're so small on the screen. I thought your mouth was moving. I can't hear you. I'm not gonna say anything.
My mouth's moving. You'll hear me. I promise.
Oh,
That was why I was confused.
What's that?
I said that was why I was confused because it looked
Oh.
like your mouth was moving. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear it act natural.
Well, we're,
I think I have a question. Maybe at the people who are listening, the two of you, what do you think Mike and I should build next after version 2?
I know what I got a few different ideas. I've always got ideas in my head. You know that.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think it'll be interesting to
There's-
hear what other people would enjoy seeing us do. Not saying we shouldn't do the stuff that you want to do as well. but
Right.
I want to see
I
Rocky.
don't even want to throw my ideas out there because I'm kind of curious what fresh ideas would possibly pop up in the comments, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it'll be cool to hear from everybody what is the things, because Mike and I have got such different but complementing skill sets.
Mhm.
I'm sure there's some really cool ideas of things that the two of us can try and build, combining our skills together.
Right. Yeah. I'm definitely interested to know what would possibly come up for sure, because between his skills and my skills and Aaron's skills, I'm not for sure there's a whole lot. We need to find well, he's a machinist. Or we'd be pretty dangerous.
You still have my machines.
I do still have your
Yep.
machines.
I'm still looking at them right now.
yeah. Yeah, Jason. We still use them quite a bit too. So
Have this dying hunch. I'm not getting them back.
we
I doubt
almost went and traded you out bandsaws the
yeah,
other day.
we got real close.
Oh, I just bought another one.
Oh,
Oh, really?
we'll just keep that one then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should have traded
Thanks,
him.
buddy.
Oh, and I just upgraded my plasma cutter too.
I have a great parting story for us. A neighbor of mine loaned out his grass cutter wheat eater
Yeah.
to neighbor on the other side, who never returned to him. And then eventually, 9 months later, the neighbor walked in and says, "Your wheat eater is broken. You better fix it. I need to cut my grass this weekend." So you better come fix your bandsaw.
Oh Lord. Have you
Actually, my bandsaw broke, so I was going to borrow Jason's permanently.
That's what I said.
Yeah,
You tell
yeah.
Jason he better go fix his bandsaw. You need it.
how's my oil drain pan doing?
Oh, very good.
Okay.
We use it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one hurt a little bit. That was brand new when I got it, never got a chance to use it.
And then it's well used now. Well used.
A couple 100 gallons went through
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But we're getting ready to try out your sandblasting cabinet probably next week.
Yeah.
Okay. The air compressor's down there too.
Yeah. Well, so far, old Trusty over here is still pumping.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Air dryer's still going. So if you get bored of your TIG welder, we could use it though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you
got
bring
two
it
TIG
down?
welders
yet?
here and the third one trying to learn. So send us a TIG welder.
Did you leave it down here? Or you got it back here with you?
I have it up here. I'm building a bumper for Chris now with it.
Could you expedite that down?
I will think about it.
Talking about enjoying projects. When we started Farrakhan, I built my own self-reclaiming sandblaster.
Really?
I'd love to. When you come down, I got to show you that thing. I'm pretty proud of that project. It's
Well, our sandblasting
We-
setup is not self-reclaiming. It's more like
No, don't laugh at us
spray
when we
and
see
pray.
it.
With
well,
homemade-
I was weren't, so I actually came up with a design which I thought would work. But this is also one of those things where I was just putting ideas and parts and things together. The next moment we look and down here is the clean sand, and over here is the dust that came out, and over here is the clean air. I couldn't believe it. It worked. And
Maybe he needs to bring that up. We need to try it out.
I'll build you one, but no, that one ain't moving. It's a big cap.
we gotta get that shop edition on there first.
Yes, we do.
Aaron's
Yeah,
convinced we're adding on to the
we're
shop.
adding on.
I'll come and help with that one.
Yes.
That's the funny thing is most of my experience obviously is programming, electronics, and manufacturing. But the thing I enjoy the most is construction.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoy that.
That's me and Aaron talking about that today. You know, I enjoy the excavating, love it, but I also enjoy working in the shop, like in wintertime. But I think
Yeah,
if I did both of them all year round, I'd get burnt out on either
Get
one.
burnt out.
It's nice to kind of go bounce back and forth a little
From
bit.
one to the other.
And
You
that's
come up here, I'll put you to
what
work.
consulting is. You can do it.
Yeah, it makes it nice. So, well, we are going to have to wrap this one up. Aaron's got to get home, and the kiddos just showed up. I want to see them, and we
Yep.
got some projects to maybe figure out. So hopefully everybody enjoyed. And
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
yeah, and you got we can send everybody your guys' website, Flaming Dirt. Is it flamingdirt.com?
Yes, flaming.com.
Check him out there. He's got a lot of cool
Mhm.
products they make, and a lot of different stuff. So a lot of powder coating, a lot of Jeep stuff.
Yep. So,
Ooh, I
so
got
our big claim to fame in the retail market, not the quoted market, is the fact that we take most of the common Jeep accessories and we make it available in the actual Jeep colors.
Right.
Because usually it's silver, black, or white are the colors you can buy on it. So you can get it in your specific color.
And that's all
That you
powder
want.
coated, correct?
Yeah, yeah. Like your Jeep accessories, which I offered you 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And all you had to do was pick which one of the two colors, yellow.
Yeah.
Here we are. Here we are.
well, my is
Is he-
black, so
No, that's the problem. He had too many colors to pick from. So, all right, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you listening. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm sure we'll be back for more.
yep. See you later.
See you guys.
Yes.